What if the reason you stay calm when everyone else is losing it isn't because of luck, but because you are more mentally healthy than 90% or even 99% of other people? The world seems obsessed with mental health struggles at the moment, but we often forget to look at the things that make us mentally strong. It's not about being happy all the time, it's about thriving under pressure, setting boundaries, and bouncing back from failure when others fold. I'm going to break down 8 signs of genuine mental fitness, including 2 signs that psychologists and therapists often overlook. Pay close attention to number 8. It's a true test of a well-managed mind, and almost no one gets it right. Number 1, emotional awareness. Ever find yourself snapping at the wrong person or making a decision you instantly regret only to realize that you have no idea why you felt that way? Most people are prisoners of their moods, reacting, not understanding. So the mentally healthiest people break this cycle with emotional awareness. So when your boss makes a last-minute demand, you pause and realize it's not the task, but it is your time being disrespected that gets you fired up. This clarity lets you respond, not just react. But recognizing your problems is only half the battle. What happens when those feelings are so intense that they almost overwhelm you? Even if you know what you're feeling, powerful emotions can still hijack your actions, and that leads to burning bridges, stalling careers, and chronic stress. Number 2, emotional regulation. Mentally strong people practice emotional regulation. So instead of firing off an aggressive email after harsh feedback, you take a walk, let the emotion fall, and then respond with clarity. But what about when life doesn't just frustrate you, but just knocks you flat? So awareness and regulation are great, but you can actually grow stronger from setbacks. So number 3, you're anti-fragile, not just resilient. Resilience means that you can take a hit and bounce back to where you were. Antifragility means that you can take a hit, absorb the energy of the failure, and become stronger than you were before. So without this, you just survive setbacks. With it, you use them as fuel to grow. An example, let's say you get rejected for a promotion you worked toward for a whole year. The resilient person bounces back, eats the punches of life, then gets back on course. But the anti-fragile person uses the rejection as a catalyst. You don't just ask for feedback. You treat the failure as critical data that reveals not only skill gaps, but also new, more valuable paths for growth. So the setback doesn't just make you a better candidate for the next promotion, it makes you a more capable professional, period. So this concept, anti-fragility, was coined by the author Nassim Taleb. And he explains that things that are anti-fragile don't just withstand disorder, they thrive on it. It's like a muscle that grows back stronger after being torn. How did you react the last time a plan you were invested in completely failed? So dealing with our own failures is one thing, but what if a problem isn't an internal setback, but a constant drain from the people around you? That's where our next sign comes in. I'm just going to ask you to subscribe if you enjoy what's going on here. Cheers. 4, boundaries in relationships. Without boundaries, even strong individuals get depleted, overcommitted, resentful, and undervalued by colleagues and partners. Mentally healthy people set and defend boundaries. For example, when a coworker interrupts your flow for just 5 minutes, you protect your focus and you reschedule without feeling guilt. And if setting boundaries is something you struggle with, please check my video, Why Boundaries Save Relationships. But boundaries can only shield you so far. When a real crisis hits, do you freeze or do you immediately start solving the problem? 5, internal locus of control. Most people get stuck in blame and despair when trouble strikes. They feel helpless and spin out of control. The solution is to pivot straight to action. What can I control? What's my first move? So when the metaphorical budget gets cut, you strategize, adapt, and lead. This is what psychologists call internal locus of control. Research shows that individuals that have high internal locus of control are 136% happier with their careers. So when you hit a roadblock, is your first thought, this is unfair? Or, what's my first move? But action without direction can backfire. How do you make sure your decisions actually align with who you want to be? 6, values-driven action. It's easy to compromise your values under pressure, and this can lead to anxiety, regret, and lost respect. Mentally strong people act with integrity, even when it's highly inconvenient. You give credit where credit is due, even if it costs you short-term recognition. But what happens when you're challenged or criticized? Can you stay open, or does your ego slam the door shut? 7, low level of defensiveness. Criticism can trigger shame, anger, or denial. This can destroy trust and growth. So how do you react when you're corrected or challenged? Mentally healthy people can absorb criticism or admit a mistake without becoming hostile or crumbling with shame. So high defensiveness sabotages growth. It can also damage relationships, and it just makes you look deeply insecure. For example, a colleague points out a significant error in your analysis. So instead of making excuses, your response is, "Oh, nice catch. Thank you. I'll correct it and send it out again." Because you see the feedback as a tool, not an attack. But all these skills depend on one thing: what's happening inside your own head when no one is watching. So this final crucial element is one that most people never master. 8, a friendly inner monologue. Most people are haunted by a relentless inner critic, which fuels anxiety and self-doubt. The mentally healthiest people have trained their inner voice to be a coach, not a bully. So when you stumble, you reset, encourage, and move forward. But it's also just an indication of your baseline mood in any given situation. So do you have a friendly inner monologue? Here's a way to test it. Listen to the things it says. How would you feel if a friend told you the things your inner voice says? Or how would you feel about telling a friend the types of things your inner voice says? If your inner voice belonged to a stranger, would you want them as your friend? This is the ultimate test. If you master this, you are almost certainly in the top 1% of mental strength. So here's the reality check. If you recognize yourself in 6 or more of these signs, you're already operating at a level most people will never reach. So that's not luck, that's mental fitness. But here's what separates the truly elite from everyone else. They don't just recognize these traits, they actively develop them. The question is, what will you do with this advantage? So while most people are stuck in emotional chaos and they burn bridges and let their inner critic run the show, you have the tools to thrive. So use them. This is where I'm going to ask you to subscribe if you want more insights that the 99% will never hear of. Tell me in the comments which of these signs surprised you most, and also let me know what I left out, if anything crucial. I want to just invite you to join Heart Love Theory over on School. It's a new community. If you join right now, you'll be among the first 100 community members. And we talk about hard topics in a cordial manner. I'm also building this place to be a resource for people who want to build strong relationships with a series of free courses. If this sounds like you, click the link below and I'll see you there. Thanks for listening. Until next time, cheers.